Can you speak about what America does differently, why our drugs are so much more expensive?
The short answer to why drugs are more expensive in the United States than anywhere else in the world is because they can be. We allow drug companies to set their own price. We don't regulate it. We don't negotiate with them. We don't come in and we knock down the price. In every Western European country, in Asia and everywhere else, they have either medical panels, doctors, other drug companies appointed as part of a group. They have national health plans in which they negotiate with the companies and they bring the prices down. The biggest profits are made here in the US, so it's whatever the market will bear. And drug companies will say, we need it for research and development. We need these profits to be able to do that. Take the top 10 companies, the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world, they spend more on average every year on share buybacks and promotion than they do on research and development. So they can cut back a little bit on the share buybacks and the promotion. They could do a little bit more R&D. People are surprised to even find out, when I talk to people who've lost a child to Oxycontin, I do a lot of work on the opioid crisis, they're surprised to learn that not only do they hate the drug, but they paid more for it in the United States than anywhere else in the world. They charge more for it here. When Regeneron came out with a therapeutic early on for, in COVID, they charge 33% more in the U.S. than was charged in Europe or anywhere else. That happens all the time. And people say to me, who's to blame, Democrats or Republicans? And I say, what decade are you talking about? One decade, I might blame Republicans. Another decade, I might blame, Democrats. When COVID took place, the first bill that came in under Donald Trump was a bill for $6 billion, rushed through, getting it through. And then it went up to $11 billion. $3 billion of that was for drug companies. Went through in like 10 days. The Democrats controlled the House. Nancy Pelosi had the House. Trump had the White House, the Republicans. And so both parties had to agree to get that bill through. The first version of that bill said, by the way, on the $3 billion that goes to drug companies, not only do we have a tool to keep the price of the eventual vaccine reasonable, but in addition, nobody owns the intellectual property rights. They have to share it, just like they did with penicillin in World War II. So we're going to give them this money. You take federal money. You're going to share the research. By the time the bill came out 10 days later, those were stripped out of the bill. So Democrats and Republicans had to agree to it. Everybody's able to own then their own vaccine. They make a lot of money from it. And so my point is that in the U.S., it's whatever the market bears.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fascinating because on one hand, people will say, oh, this is a problem with capitalism or something of that nature, but it's actually very much crony capitalism because other competitors can't get in. They have special arrangements with governments and, it costs hundreds of millions of dollars to do these clinical trials and all that. So you basically completely limit the competition from anybody else. And these inside players have the track to be able to, profit from this significantly, right?
You're right. And it's interesting, Ashton, because there's no doubt it's super expensive, over $1 billion to get a drug approved. It's tough, and sometimes drug approvals don't come through, especially on real experimental drugs, cancer drugs, and others. So there's great risk for the companies, and some of these biotech companies live and die on one drug promise. So I get that. I don't mean to minimize how easy it is, but one of the things that's happened is the FDA, 60% of the FDA's revenue today, comes from what they call expedited filings. So they came up with a process 15, 20 years ago in which they said to drug companies, if you pay us extra money, we'll put you on the fast track. So drug companies said, fantastic. You mean we don't have to wait 2 years? So they all pay the expedited fee, and as a result, that money comes into the FDA, but it sort of seems to me that you shouldn't be necessarily paying the regulator to speed up the process. They're now dependent on you for that. And there is absolutely no doubt that, if we negotiated with them, I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism. We are a capitalist country, and I believe drug companies should operate to make a profit. They have shareholders. They need to do that. But I also think that if we negotiated with them, and we meaning the United States government in terms of Medicare, Medicaid, or other things, we reduce their profits a little bit, it's not going to be the end of the world for the shareholders.